people either, like I shared earlier, don't know or don't realize that, or if and when they do realize that, they actually try to push that away.
Yeah.
So where did you start to hear like, you know what, I need to express these emotions?
Honestly, I bottled a lot of stuff in for the longest. Like through my high school years, I bottled a lot of stuff, and I was.
Sure.
But I think it was around like 2021 where I released some emotion in music, and it felt good. Like, yo, this feels extremely good. I feel better. I'm not hurting anymore. I let that go.
Did you notice like an internal change when you started, you know what, damn, like this actually feels good to say like, I'm sad, even though we don't want you to be sad, obviously, but just to be able to let that out. Did you start to realize that?
Yeah, well, honestly, so I went through like an extremely spiritual phase in my life. Like, I don't want to call it a phase, but it's an extremely spiritual time.
Like an awakening almost?
Like an awakening,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And just that prayer was a release in itself. So just prayer in itself was like, I feel better. I released that. So then that just literally turned into on top of beats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so even for members of our audience or folks who are going to be listening to the podcast later, do you have a sense of what you would want to tell them if they're struggling to think about their emotions and like kind of in that phase of where you were earlier about bottling everything up and not letting it out?
What I would want to say to people who's dealing with any type of bottled emotions is, you're not alone. You know what I'm saying? I realized that for the longest time. By me expressing my feelings and saying it to someone literally can empathize with it. Like, yo, I went through that too. I've been through that too. You know what I'm saying? And then that gives you a piece of serenity too. It's like, oh, you felt my pain, you've been through this too? Oh, I can come talk to you. Now we can have a conversation. Oh, you've been through what I've been through? Oh, and you got past it, how'd you do it? What steps did you take? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think two of the things I really want to highlight. One, when we're going through different mental health concerns and emotions, a lot of that feels like such an isolating period.
Yeah.
Like we're the only ones going through this. We're the only ones that know our pain, and we can't express that.
Yeah.
And the second big thing here is, you know what? By me having this pain, it means that I'm not good enough to handle stuff.
Yeah.
It means that if I wasn't able to figure stuff out to kind of prevent this from happening in the first place, then that means I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's so not how like life works, right? Because life is hard.
Yeah.
Would anybody here say life is easy? Like,
if you think life is easy, raise your hand. Who raised their hand? I'm just saying.
I think that was a stretch or something.
Yeah.
No, because like life is all sorts of hard and it affects all of us in different ways. But like you said earlier, we all have pain. It just looks different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It looks extremely different all the time. But I think one thing, just to retouch on ignorance, I think what I expressed in that project is similarity in pain. You know what I'm saying? A lot of African American men deal with that pain. And some, Hispanic, what would I say, impoverished.
Okay.
People from poverty, I want to just make it a black thing. So a lot of people who grew up in poverty suffer from those same things that I expressed. And like just to see people reach out is like, I'm glad that you're able to release that pain. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
I'm glad that my words were able to speak to you. You know what I'm saying? That's basically.
Yeah, and that's it, because in communities that have been impoverished, and especially also within the African American community, the black community, we know that for generations and for decades, there's been such a strong mistrust of the healthcare system as well as the mental health care system.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If you are familiar with the Tuskegee experiment, raise your hand. Oh, okay, I'm speaking to it, right?
Yeah, you're speaking to the crowd.
Man, today, so for those who didn't raise your hand or for whatever, so there's such a mistrust there because black men in Alabama who were farm workers were intentionally injected with syphilis and then studied about that. So when we then, generations, and it hasn't even really been that long, it's only been, 40, 50 years, when we start to think about why people are hesitant to seek mental health services, why people are hesitant to talk about their emotions, it's because of stuff like that, which, like you started with, comes from the hands of the man. There was actual policy that legitimized and encouraged that type of study amongst many others.
Yeah.
And I think going back to the mental health piece, I really just want to ask you, simple, straightforward question for you, what is mental health?
Mental health is like, I feel like it described in its name. It's just making sure that your mental is healthy. I feel like mental health is not taught enough. It's not taught enough.
No, not at all.
And then I was thinking about that earlier today, because this is just me being open about mental health. Earlier today, I had an anxiety attack about this speaking, because this is something different. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I was thinking about my mental health, and I was thinking about how do I get rid of this? You know what I'm saying? Okay, maybe I should meditate. Maybe I should try to talk to someone.
Okay.
Maybe I should, you know what I'm saying, go get a massage and try to like relax my body physically. Because it's, you know, anxiety is a physical
And
thing.
you said you hold a lot of that anxiety physically that way, right?
Yeah. So when I think about mental health, right? When we think about physical health, we're thinking about working out, going to the gym, eating right. What's the mental health exercise? I've never heard no one talk about that. How do we exercise our mental health?
Yeah.
How do we, like, if my quote was, if mental health was a physical appearance, we all be overweight.
Hold on, say that, because I heard a couple of mms from the choir.
If mental health
that Jim one more time.
If mental health was a physical appearance, we all be overweight. So
Yes. And so I want, that is a bar, yeah, amen to that. And I want to be intentional about how we're understanding what overweight means in a sense, especially coming off the heels of the body positivity workshop that was just here. So understanding that the physical appearance would be, if mental health was that physical, right, then we would see that, and we would see that people wouldn't be looking so healthy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just by what shows up on a scale, right, but the physical appearance would not be as healthy that way.
Exactly. But like I said, to go back and that's something I would definitely be interested in, and being a part of, is figuring out the exercises that we need to do and figuring out the healthiness of it. That's something I'm so interested in, that because I'm suffering from the same thing too.
Man, podcast aside, just from one black man to another man, I really appreciate your vulnerability up here, man.
Yeah.
Can we give it up for Tori one time, please?